The ultimate developmental agenda is for that creature to become viable as a separate being. We could say figuratively, to walk, a baby to walk on his own 2 feet, to think for oneself, to have his own boundaries, to be a separate being. This takes a lifetime, but childhood is where we should make some headway in this. It's about becoming viable as a separate being. So, like the fetus, when the umbilical cord is cut, that first attachment of the child to the mother, when the first part of the attachment is cut, you need to create another womb, a psychological womb, so to speak, an invisible umbilical cord, a womb of attachment which now gives birth to viability as a separate being. But this is going to take a long time. This is what childhood is about. And so as parents, we are responsible for creating that womb in which the child can be pregnant with themselves, to become their own persons. So what we're trying to do, it's nature, and we'll talk about this more. It's nature which it has the job of growing children up to become their own persons. It is parents who have the job of creating the attachment womb. And so our job is here, and nature helps us with this, is to facilitate dependence, because in this place, just like in the womb, we don't train the fetus to be able to make it, to breathe on their own. Can you imagine if we actually had access to the fetus? We would get in there with little manuals, with little training and cue cards, and try to get them all ready for the time the umbilical cord was cut. Well, it's really fortunate we have no access because we don't mess things up. But as parents, when the child gets outside of the womb, we become preoccupied. And I'll talk about that more with independence, when really we should be asking, how can I get the child to depend upon me? And again, we'll go through this, because this is a very important concept. But attachment is to facilitate dependence. That is, to render the child receptive to being taken care of. Okay? To being taken care of. That is the part of it. And so what attachment does is provides the power to. In other words, children are not born receptive to be taken care of just by anyone. They're not taking their cues from anybody. They don't just hold out their hands, to anybody. They're not going to follow just anybody. This has to do with the attachment. And so our job is to create that kind of context. Now, the first thing it does is it arranges in a hierarchical relationship. Now, here's another difficult word. Okay, we have a lot of difficult words here. Power is a difficult word. Dependence is difficult. In North America, we have a love affair with independence. And hierarchy, oh, please, this is enough. One session and we've already, this is too much already. Yes, hierarchy is very difficult for us because we have a huge value around all things egalitarian. But attachment is not about that. Attachment is about being able to take care of somebody. And so nature has designed, when we look at this, there are 2 sets of instincts. There are the instincts to depend. This is to look up to defer, to follow, to take the cues from, to attend to. And it's this kind of it, which I have illustrated in the diagram there. It's that kind of posture. And the answer to that posture is somebody who presents themselves as the answer to that. They are the answer to contact and closeness, the answer, giving the cues, providing comfort, taking the lead. Giving direction. And so all of this is the answer. And so you have these 2 things. In other words, when 2 creatures come together in a very primitive way, these 2 sets of instincts, they can't come together like this. What happens is they come together like this. One goes underneath and the other goes on top. One with the dependent instincts and the other with what we call the alpha instincts. And so this is the thing. This is the dance of attachment. It is that dependence and it's that alpha. It doesn't matter how identical you are. That is, you could have identical twins. And as they start attaching to each other, what happens? One takes a dependent role and the other a alpha role. And by 3 or 4 years of age, this can be established in terms of their personality and be there for life. Sometimes it generalizes all over the place. Sometimes it's only in relationship to their twin. And sometimes in an ideal situation, it goes back and forth like it should in marriage. And marriage is the same. That part of attachment in marriage is the same. That is, the attachment part of our marriage is not about equality. The attachment part is simply this. It's an arrangement to take care of each other. That's even what our vows are about. They're not about treating each other as equals. That's an idealism in marriage. It is about, very simply, taking care of each other. And so when you sense a need in your spouse, you should automatically find inside of yourself evoked the alpha response to present yourself as the answer. Now, there's a lot of natural arrogance in the alpha. You know, I'm your best bet, baby. You're lucky you have me. You know, and there is a lot of this because you're presenting yourself as the answer to the other. And it's absolutely essential you do, and it calls forth in them the response of being able to lean on you. Now, if you are two alphas in a marriage and with two alpha complexes, you'll have great difficulty. You know, who takes the lead when you go for a walk? You know, you'll both be driving at the same time, even though only one is at the steering wheel. And there'll be all kinds of, this is one of the biggest things we trip over in our marriage, is we have difficulty with this dance, the dance of attachment, because attachment is about alpha and dependent, and it's finding that easy place. But when it comes to parents and children, children are meant to be in the dependent place, and adults are meant to be the answer, to present themselves with this alpha presence. Now, there's a problem in today's society, is culture usually scripts this alpha walk, this alpha presentation. In Provence, you could see the grandparent, you could see the parents, they walked in this way, that they were the answer to their grandchildren, and presented in this alpha, and all the children immediately deferred. It's this incredible walk. They didn't have to be taught this. You can't teach this. You have to find this. It was scripted in their culture. Today's parents in North America are in this position. What should I do? Children have been born, you know, here I have a child and I haven't even been given a manual. Well, tell me, what is this position? Is it alpha or dependent? It is dependent. Now, when we're in this, the thing that inspires a child to lean on us is when we have an alpha presentation. It doesn't mean we have the answers. It means we are their answer. That is absolutely essential to have an alpha presentation. And it inspires a child to lean on us, to depend